Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you guys smash the like button and also subscribe. Now, you guys seen the title, clicked on the video. Let's jump right into it. So Chris Mannix with Yahoo Sports, he just tweeted this. Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev have agreed to terms for a rematch, sources told Yahoo. June 17th, Las Vegas pay-per-view. And he says M.A. Bramson first to report. So he's getting the information. And I want to talk about that. Now, obviously, this is not finalized in terms of, is it going to be at the T-Mobile Arena again? Is it going to be at Mandalay Bay, MGM? You know what I mean? There's different options, so we don't have all the full details. But I do believe this to be true for a few reasons. One, I think this is a rematch that needs to happen. There's a lot of money in the rematch because the first fight was so, quote-unquote, controversial, and it was a good fight nonetheless. Sergey Kovalev has went on a smear campaign saying it was all by design and American judges robbed me. Then Ward is saying, I'm going to retire, and things like they can kick and scream and cry all they want. It doesn't move my team. So the drama's there, even post-fight, even after the outcome. So I think it'll happen for that reason. Two, both fighters are warriors. And three, Kovalev, he said that he has signed a note, a memo or a draft of the contract from Rock Nation and sent it back, and he tweeted that, and I made a video about that. So there's all signs that are pointing to this information being true. Mannix is usually good in terms of credible, reliable sources, and again, just all the information that I've seen has me to believe that this is in fact a correct Ego rumor mill type of video. So I expected it. I expected them to fight. I mean, anytime there's controversy in the air, the fans want it. You know what I mean? Pacquiao, Bradley, Golovkin, Jacobs. Actually, some people aren't really craving and really pushing for Golovkin, Jacobs. I definitely would like to see a rematch of that. But I told you, same thing with Kovalev Ward. Kovalev is a beast. He's a warrior. He exercised a good jab. I like his no-nonsense type of attitude. And then same thing with Andre Ward. I have nothing bad to say about either fighter as fighters in terms of what they do in that square circle. Andre Ward, Olympic gold medalist. In his pro career, he is accomplished. He's beaten and stopped Chad Dawson. He dominated. It was a little rough in the first 3 rounds when the emotions were high, but then he dominated Edwin Rodriguez, who had just won a tournament in Monaco or Monte Carlo. He had a first round knockout. Guy who's bigger, guy who missed weight, guys in the Super 6 he wasn't supposed to beat. The Kesslers, the Abrams, the Sakio Bika, Edison Miranda, and of course Carl Froch, right? Carl Froch, for whatever reason, he always takes jabs at Andre Ward, like, oh, he needs to be disqualified and stuff, and he's fighting dirty, but he beat you with one hand. You know what I mean? After post-fight, it was revealed Andre Ward had a fractured hand, and his hand was like swelling really bad. And I don't know, I think Carl Froch has always had a grudge. And I told you guys, man, 2017, new media, I'm coming hard. There's a lot to talk about in the sport of boxing, and the people who don't give this boxing game a fair shake, they are going to look dumber and dumber. Like I said, Will Smith and concussion, tell the truth, tell the truth. And the people who don't tell the truth and don't give it a fair shake, it just it's not going to benefit them in the long run. Like even Carl Froch did a pound for pound list. He says he has Kovalev as number 1, he had Chocolatito at number 2, and then he had Ward at 3. So it sounds like you have some kind of personal bias or grudge against Ward, because at the end of the day, Chocolatito didn't even look good in his last 2 fights. They were exciting to the eye and stuff like that, but he struggled with Carlos Cuadras and completely faded in the second half. Showed heart in that fight. Showed heart in his next fight versus Rungvisai, but he lost that fight. You know what I mean? The judges said he lost. I personally would have gave it to him. I thought he was doing enough in little spots, but I mean, I was there live, so maybe I have to watch it again. I do know the fight was super close. And again, if he's pound for pound number 2 or 1, whatever ESPN, Froch, HBO is saying, I don't think you should struggle with the Rungvisai. You look at Kovalev Ward. Ward, that was he really had one light heavyweight fight before fighting Kovalev. And then he fought a career super middleweight who had, I think, one fight at light heavyweight, but didn't have the stature of a light heavyweight in Alexander Brand. And then he fought Kovalev. So yeah, you're supposed to have oh shit moments or tough moments with a guy like Kovalev. He's the crusher, he's the puncher, he can box, he killed a man in the ring, he has a equivalent frame. It's not like he's a small dude. Him and Ward are about the same height almost. So that's different than like a Rungvisai. Rungvisai is like, he fought a bunch of, go look at Rungvisai's record. He fought a ton of people who their first fight was their fight with him. He fought them on their pro debut and he knocked some of them out and stuff like that. But go look at his box rec and you'll see it'll say Sor Rungvisai and then it'll say pro debut, like back-to-back fights, pro debut, meaning he fought guys when they first turned pro in their first fight who were from his area, I think Thailand or whatnot. So you know what I mean? And he still gave Chocolatito a hell of a fight. And he had no defense. You know what I mean? Kovalev's doing some stuff. He's like counter punching, great jab, stuff like that. So to me, that was supposed to be a 50-50 fight. It was supposed to be a seesaw type of fight with Kovalev Ward. But I like the rematch happening. I think it's right for the fans. Clear the air on who won. I think the area is good, Las Vegas. The date is great in June. A summertime fight now. The last fight, it was creeping up right the week before Thanksgiving, and I think that hurt pay-per-view numbers. This is still early. They haven't, HBO this particular year hasn't drowned us out with pay-per-views like they did last year. Like last year, I really believe Kovalev Ward numbers suffered because it was around the holidays, but also because HBO abused their privileges when it comes to HBO pay-per-view. They made fans pay for fights that should have never, I repeat, never been on HBO pay-per-view. Terrence Crawford, Victor Postal, that's a great world championship boxing, HBO boxing fight. But to put it on pay-per-view, you've seen it wasn't a pay-per-view fight because Terrence Crawford, while he does have some star power, you can't put him in with the dance partner who's relatively unknown. Like real boxing heads are going to know Postal, know that was a good fight, but your casual market is not. And you need some casual fans and just like non-diehard fans for pay-per-view. You know what I mean? Like just people having fight parties and stuff. And Postal didn't even really have a big name, so that should have never been on pay-per-view. Canelo versus Amir Khan, really? A welterweight who hadn't even proved that he's the very best without a shadow of a doubt at welterweight, moving up to Canelo weight. I mean, and even worse, Canelo versus Liam Smith. Like people in America hadn't even heard of Liam Smith. So fights like that shouldn't have been pay-per-view. And then Top Rank, just that same month as Kovalev Ward, they had a pay-per-view, their own pay-per-view. It was Pacquiao versus Jesse Vargas, which did about 300,000. So just overall too many pay-per-views last year, and I think it hurt the market because you can't oversaturate a market and expect great results. You know what I mean? It's just like it doesn't work. It's too many pay-per-views. You know what I mean? The consumers, they're like, man, I'm just gonna say they did it with Golovkin and Lemieux. They fought Golovkin and Lemieux in October of that year, and then the very next year or the next month was Canelo Cotto. You know what I mean? So people might be like, hey, I'm gonna stream Golovkin and Lemieux. I'm gonna save my money for Canelo Cotto because that's what I want to see more. You know what I mean? So I like the date. I think this is better that it's in the summertime, and it's better because I don't have to wait. You know what I mean? We don't have to wait for the Judgment Day fight. This is a good fight, and I truly expect it to be a tough fight the second go around too, because again, Kovalev, he's a take no prisoners type of fighter. He has added fuel because he feels he was jobbed when it comes to the scorecards. Again, I'm going to say this time and time again. You guys can peep my old videos. I give boxing a fair shake. When the fight is close, see the difference between me and them is just complete radical channels or commentary, like even HBO commentary. Like you could tell when they have a horse in the race because they're only praising one faction, one side, one person. They're not really giving it a fair shake. Like, Gennady Golovkin is an in-house HBO showcase fighter. You know what I mean? One of their guys that give him good earnings when he's on the network and stuff like that. When he fights Danny Jacobs, listen to the commentary. It's super one-sided, as if Jacobs is like getting demolished in there. You know what I'm saying? Jim Lampley starts crediting fighters with punches that never even land. Pacquiao, bang! Again, bang, bang! Like, what are you talking about? He's like Tim Bradley slipping those punches and hitting the gloves and, you know what I mean, blocking, and you're like, bang, bang, bang. Like, what are you talking about? But when it comes to me, you have never heard me say anything negative about Kovalev as a fighter. You never heard me say like, oh, he sucks, he's a bum, because I don't feel that way. I give him credit. I just didn't have him winning. I had Ward winning because I thought Kovalev completely let Ward take over and make the fight more of his pace in the second half. That's the skinny of it, right? After the knockdown, just like the Jacobs fight, you let somebody else, you guys switch seats, and you let someone else get in the driver's seat, right? And although it was competitive, which made the rounds fun and stuff like that, I thought it started increasingly becoming more and more of a Ward fight, right? Ward getting in the clinches and working, and then when they had one arm free, still working with that one arm and bop and rock, 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 and raking the body, stuff like that. So again, Kovalev didn't have any rounds in the second half that were as emphatic as his second round, right? And it's not all about just reduplicating knockdowns or anything like that. It just, he was trying. Dude has heart. He's a good fighter. He doesn't want to lose. He was undefeated also, but it was a little bit different. Like I seen like the fight, he switched his demeanor when those body shots and fatigue and stuff started kicking in. But again, I'm not trying to make it more than what it was. It was a razor thin fight. It was a close fight. It was actually, when I watched it live, I was like, wow, this is super close, because you're there, the energy of the crowd, the T-Mobile Arena, stuff like that. But when I watched it back at home on HBO, because I recorded it, I'm like, that was close, but it wasn't quite as close as I thought. You know what I mean? When I was there live, I was just like, wow, squeak by with a win. But then I mean, when I watched it again, I'm like, okay, Ward, he really grabbed the bull by the horns in the second half. Again, when I'm giving my fight analysis, you don't have to agree with me. I don't really care. But at the end of the day, I give the fighters a fair shake. It's not about Ward's a B word or this, or Kovalev sucks ass and stuff, the crazy stuff y'all be putting in the comment section. Both fighters are warriors. They both gave us a great fight, and it's just sad that has to take away from what they presented to us. Two guys who are at the top of their game, who are elite level fighters, giving us a great show, and it has to be overshadowed by this alleged black cloud of the shroud of doubt of who won. And you know what I mean, more people talk about that and robbery than how good of a fight it was and how meaningful it was and how more boxing matches should be like that. The two guys who are perceived as the best in the division, like Golovkin Jacobs, that's another example, fighting it out and showing us. You know what I mean? That's a pay-per-view that I don't mind paying. I mean, obviously I covered the fight live, but I wouldn't mind paying through and throughout, because those are the two best in the division. You know what I mean? So it's always good to see that. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll give you guys an update when more information comes out, but I believe this to be true. I think that the terms have been reached. They might have final paperwork that they have to push, things like that. But let me know what you guys think. Who wins in the rematch? Abel Sanchez says he believes that Ward will win cleaner. We'll see. Ward, I've seen him train. The man's like, he's a perfectionist, so I know for a fact, and I'm speaking on behalf of him. I know from what I've seen, I know for a fact that he's going to go back to the drawing board to try to correct his mistakes. I mean, will he be successful? That remains to be seen. But I know attitude-wise, that's his innate nature to work on that. Like, I mean, I'm not going to say any names, but there's a fighter that I heard was sparring with Ward, and it's a guy who was a touted name, like a prospect or whatever. And I heard he gave Ward a very good sparring, right? And he gave him a real good sparring, and people were like, damn, he did good. And then they said the next day Ward came back on a mission and then started dogging him in sparring. And that's what happens sometimes at the elite level. You know what I mean? Guys have an off day or a day where somebody shines, and they're like, nah, I got to take that away from him. You can't, I got to take that, we got to dim some of that shine. You can't just have that. You know what I mean? So I know Ward's going to go back to the drawing board. And based on Kovalev's mentality, I think he'll do the same thing. I mean, he wants to right his wrong and prove like, hey, that was a fluke. I really won. So it's either going to be a Mayweather Castillo, or is it going to be a Roy Jones versus Tarver? I guess we have to wait and find out. But I'm excited for this. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.